We'll start up with item number 4, an application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Manhattan, docket number 15-3439, block 1274, lot 25, 768 to 770 Fifth Avenue, also known as 764 to 778 Grand Army Plaza, the Palm Court, and the Plaza Hotel, an individual and interior landmark. A neoclassical style room, altered and redecorated in 1920 to 21 and 1944 to 1945, within a French Renaissance style hotel designed by Henry J. Hardenberg and built in 1905 to 07, with an addition designed by Warren Wetmore and built in 1921. The application is to install fixtures and lighting. This was heard at the public hearing of March 4th, 2014.
We're going to open the hearing, obviously, so that the Palm can be admitted. It's Palm Sunday already. No motion and a second without objection. Hearing open, but you'll summarize what's going on, and then we can go from that. Thank you.
Good morning, Commissioners. Reva Ashby, Preservation Staff. The item before you is 768 Fifth Avenue. It's the Plaza Hotel, which is both an individual and interior landmark in Manhattan. Just go to a rendering here. The proposal is to install new carpeting, new chandeliers, as well as a fixed bar within the Palm Court, which is an interior landmark. At the presentation at the public hearing, there were concerns about the size of the carpet, which concealed the historic brass spacers at the perimeter of the room. There were also concerns about the proposed design of the carpet and chandeliers, which were not in keeping with the historic design of these features, as well as the design of the bar and its centerpiece. Additionally, there were also concerns about the use of 4 large artificial palm trees within the space. Based on these initial concerns, the proposal has been revised. The design of the carpet and chandeliers have been modified to reflect more historically accurate designs. The size of the carpet has been reduced and will reveal the historic brass spacers at the perimeter of the room. The design of the bar has been modified. The centerpiece, as you can see now, features a planter, and there is proposed lighting within the footrests of the bar. Additionally, the proposed banquette seating, which centered around these 4 large palm trees, will feature outlets for the floor for proposed uplighting. As this lighting can be easily removed from the outlets, the banquette seating will divide into 4 pieces. None of the furniture or palm trees are anchored to the floor, so these installations are now considered movable furniture and are no longer part of the proposal regulated LPC. And Terry Desmond, the designer, is here to...
Okay, thank you.
Good morning. Thank you for your patience. So we, in response to
Just
the...
put your name formally on the record, please.
Thierry
Thank you.
Despont,
Thank you very
designer
much.
for the project.
Thank you.
In response to the Commission comments from about 2 weeks ago, we revised the design to reflect and get closer to the original Palm Court design. As mentioned by the staff, the comments bear to general styling, has in relationship to the carpet, which has been modified, to the design of the furniture, and to the choice of lighting fixtures. Those are some of those lighting fixtures, and what we propose is to know, we've redesigned the bar, which will be made with wood lattice to reflect more the notion of a planter that was originally in the center of the room, and we have eliminated a glass fountain or light fixture that was on top of that. There will be just a planter with a flower arrangement in the center. We've also revised the planters. There will be no ceramic clay pots that will receive actual palm trees, live palm trees, but I'm sorry to say that we're going to keep the notion of 4 artificial palm trees that will be installed as furniture. They are on base. The Palm Court was originally open to natural light, and the verrier was meant to be kind of a greenhouse. It is not anymore. It's covered, and it would not be in any sense feasible to put 4 big palm trees inside this room. I know the Commission concern, but which I share, but I do believe that the technology today will allow us to make pantries that will appear lively and beautiful. As I mentioned, we've redesigned also the furniture and the general styling of the room to make it fit more in keeping with the original palm court that existed. Obviously, today's requirements are for chair and furniture that are more substantial. I guess it's because we've all grown a little bigger than we were some 90 years ago. The carpet has been revised in design and in size to respect the original layout of the carpet so that part of the brass inlet border will be visible. The four pantries surrounded by the banquette, those banquettes are four separate pieces. They're really like, they are pieces of furniture, and in the same, we ask permission. There are existing electrical outlets, those are indicated throughout the floor. We ask permission to put 8 more outlets that will be allow us through plugging in the carpet to light the palm trees and to light the bar. This is the revised proposed new carpet that, as you can see, match, although it's not the same, but match closely the original design of the carpet first installed. This is the carpet proposed layout, which here will respect this metal inset border in part of the original floor. The floor itself, as we mentioned, is of no really value, and we're going to keep those electrical outlets in the floor. This, we're going to revise. This is the design for the banquette, which are in 4 sections, and the planter themselves for the pantries are just a base, and I think they're a piece of furniture that can be moved in and out with the lighting fixture plugged in on the floor. Those are the bronze cover plate with the flange that will be installed on top of the carpet. The lighting scheme has been, as indicated previously, will be modified. There are 2 strips of track lighting that are being removed as being unsightly. The chandelier proposed, those were the original chandelier, and those are some existing chandelier, but which are just outside the palm court themselves, which we have not been asked to remove. And this is the proposed fixture, which we found a manufacturer which we believe match closely the design of the original fixture. And those are the ones that we propose to install.
This doesn't say that.
It's not the same. It's
Yep.
not exactly the same, but it's close.
Check with somebody.
The light, we're going to relap the existing light fixtures so as to be able to have warmer light, and much more important, to create 3 or 4 different moods so that you have a moon lighting in the morning, you have lighting in the afternoon, and lighting in the evening. That will reflect more what would happen if you were in an open sky greenhouse. This is the revised bar design that will be in wood and lattice with the planters above with flowers. The bar is designed as a piece of furniture, does not penetrate the floor and can be moved. I must point out that we propose to have some lighting at the top of the bar, not as recently suggested at the footrest. So this will just glow lightly on the curvature of the bar. Those are some of the proposed banquette, and the furniture has been redesigned so that the side and the back of the furniture will be cane that I believe will reflect this kind of garden furniture or outdoor. And this is the proposed banquette. Here's the typical chair and the typical table. The table will be covered with a tinted mirror which will play with the light and bring some variation. Those are the planters to be located throughout the things. Those will receive real palm trees.
What's the material of
The material is a clay, ceramic clay, glaze terracotta. Here's the elevation that shows, in fact, those planters around the room, which I believe really respect and leave clear the view of the architecture of the room.
It's better.
Here is another northeast elevation, proposed and existing, and here is the bar. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And are there questions?
Yeah, just a quick question.
Yes.
So in terms of the height of the new bar and the greenery above, is that, how much higher is that than the original? And are there things that are being
Well, I mean,
obscured?
if you
when you're-
compare to I'm stuck here. Can I?
Yeah. Oh, that, somebody,
Maybe.
okay.
The original planters, if you look at the historical photos, was quite substantial. So I really think that this time the bar fits within that. We lowered it and we eliminated the glass fixture that was to be on top of it.
Marjorie, do you have a question?
Yeah. So in terms of the chandeliers, historically, wasn't the chandelier that you talked about, the historical chandelier, weren't they in many locations throughout that floor, not just in the few places that you're proposing? but
Yes, I
weren't
mean,
they?
there were also in lieu of those ones.
Right.
But those ones, they're outside the palm court itself.
So
So
outside the
those-
designated
Outside the landmark
area?
site, probably, what it sounds like. No?
No, it's within the landmark site, but it's not.
Yeah, but it's outside the project.
Right. But, so from
All right.
that perspective, I mean, since, obviously restoration work is ongoing and changes,
Yeah.
wouldn't it make more sense to just replicate that chandelier so that now you have your signature chandelier and you can use it throughout the restoration as it moves along, as opposed to buying one off the shelf?
I mean, yes, I could try to draw from that, but quite frankly, it's a bit difficult from those drawings to make sure that they will reflect exactly. We found a manufacturer of this fiction. We researched the existing manufacturer doesn't exist. And I thought this one was very close to the original.
Spirit.
Yes.
So those are something ready-made, are they?
Yes.
And so,
Well, I mean-
but they could have, so it would be like a big deal to have the original one duplicated or replicated, or?
Yes.
Uh-huh.
Yeah, I mean, because those.
And how many of them
Honest
did you?
answer,
I'm
no.
accused of doing more light
Uh-huh.
fixtures in this city than anybody else. I
Mhm.
plead
And how
not
many
guilty
did
on
we,
that one.
how many do you have? How many of those did you have?
Well, I mean, we're gonna do, there are 6 chandeliers. So obviously to make it, those were bronze pieces, to make it, it's very complicated because you have to make a prototype, you have to cast it, you have to, so whereas here, those pieces exist.
Oops. Okay, any further questions? All right, thank you, team. Thank you.
Thank you.
Discussion, Fred, please.
Great job. I thought it was almost there before. The few things you've made the adjustments to are meet with my approval, certainly. I just want to comment about the palms. Of all plant material that I'm familiar with, I think a palm comes as close to looking like a man-made thing anyway, particularly these kinds of palms, date palms and so forth. And so therefore, the jump between a natural and back to an actual man-made sort of fabrication is not a big one, and I think today's technology allows that to occur. The presentation reminded us that there is no longer an opening to the sky. Even that opening probably was fairly dark with the big, tall building all around it. So if we want the palm court to retain its proper name, it's got to have palm trees, and it's got to, I think, have these palm trees. The rest of what has been presented, I think, comes closer and to the original. No reason to replicate exactly the original. This room has been interpreted many times over many eras, and I think this is a very appropriate interpretation now, and I would vote for approval.
Libby?
Yes, I didn't have the opportunity to see the first presentation, but it seems to me that what's being proposed here goes a long way towards preserving the architecture of this very important interior landmark, and yet making it part of today and useful and a place people are going to want to be. And that's a wonderful thing.
Michael?
For some reason, I also seem to have missed this before. I hope that in social media, it doesn't become the plastic palm court, but I think your interpretation is spot on, and I can approve this. Thank you.
John?
Yeah, I do as well. When I was looking at the light fixtures, I thought about some of the work we did on the fixtures at Grand Central. There is a place in the Midwest, a foundry, that can duplicate, but I don't think it's necessary here because it's close enough that you have the spirit of the original light fixtures, so I can support this.
I agree. I think that the change from last time is very subtle but significant, and I think that it's exemplified by both the design of the furniture, the design of the bar. It's much less kind of about the introduction of a counterpoint to the room, as much as it is a kind of trying to soak up the spirit of the room and carry it forth in a way that is not necessarily slavish to the old, but that is compatible with it and subservient to it. And in that regard, I think it's very successful. I think especially the carpet adds to that, the design of the carpet, the spacing of it. It just, when Marjorie was talking last time about being taken there with the white gloves by Grandma, I think that it just feels like a place that could kind of carry that preciousness forward. God save us with the plastic palms, but I buy the argument. And as the person who made the accusation about the applicant being the biggest specker of custom lights in the country, I accept his plea, and I think that this light is appropriate and close enough. I just wish they had gone and taken out the 3 chandeliers that were added so that the sense of unity of the space was restored, but I don't think that's required at this time. If he did want to do it at a staff level, it'd be okay.
Okay, Chris?
Very close to the original, but I await Marjorie's opinion.
Yes, me too. Okay, Marjorie?
Well, it's never going to be like it was then. So, partly because, I don't know, did we really get bigger? I just think we sit harder when we sit on chairs.
You've been to a Broadway show lately?
But I think that even the selection of furnishings is more delicate than it was before. It was very corporate looking before. It's less so now. I think the sort of use of the language of garden instead of sort of corporate bar is much more successful, and that's really what's convincing me better, that this is more attuned to what the palm court was. I'm really sorry about the palm trees, but you know, what can you do? And I do think it's a great opportunity lost, but to replicate the exact fixtures because they would be used elsewhere in the building. But I also think that these fixtures selected are much more in keeping with the character of the building than the prior ones.
Okay.
I think that overall, this is a much more delicate, more appropriate design for the interiors that actually complements what we like about the landmarked interior. I, though, think that the lights should have been the replica of existing, since we know what it is, and so many times we don't even know what it is, and in this case we do, and there weren't that many, but I accept that overall, the package is good, and it's not overwhelming, and it's a much gentler way of doing something new in the space.
Okay, good. It's, the Palm Court will be back in your hands, and it will make a nice comeback and recovery from some of the earlier, since designation, a few ups and downs, but this is an appropriate conclusion. I'll close the hearing now, and then Fred, please.
In the matter of 768 to 770 Fifth Avenue, also known as 764 to 778 Grand Army Plaza, or 1 to 19 West 58th Street, or 1 to 20 Central Park South, the Plaza Hotel, maybe more well-known as an individual and interior landmark. The application is to install fixtures and lighting. I recommend approval. Noting that the presence of carpeting, chandeliers, and a single bar of moderate size will be in keeping with furnishings typically found in rooms of this type, style, and age. That the design and style of the carpeting will be well related to the style of the room and will closely recall the design of a carpet present within this room in the early 20th century. That the carpeting will be installed at the plain portion of the stone floor and will not cover the historic brass spacers, which create a decorative border at the perimeter of the room. That the proposed chandeliers will be typical of a emplacement, limited in number, well suited to the room, and installed in areas of non-decorative plaster. That the design of the wood trellis, cladding at the bar will recall the garden-inspired character of the room. That the proposed carpet, chandeliers, and bar will feature materials and finishes which will be complementary to the neoclassical style of the room. That the plumbing and electrical connections will be installed with minimum number of penetrations at the simply designed portions of the marble floor, and that the electrical outlets are simple design, small in scale, and will be concealed by the new carpeting.
Second. Second, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? It's approved. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you very much. Okay.
The next item is item number 5, an application for a certificate of appropriateness in the Borough of Manhattan, docket number 15-0425,